Okay, thank you very much, Audrey. My name is David Sommer, and it's my privilege to be chairing the judging panel for the ALPS Awards for Innovation in Publishing. And we're very grateful to our sponsors, Publishing Technology, for sponsoring the awards. So our judging panel is made up of a team of experts from across the industry. So we have publishers represented, we have librarians, we have vendors, we have standards bodies, we have consultants. So it's a very diverse panel. And as in previous years, we've had a very, very strong response with nearly 40 submissions, I should say, covering all aspects of publishing and from across the globe. So we're very pleased with the response. This year, we have actually innovated the Innovation Awards. We changed things around slightly. We should have entered ourselves and won, perhaps. The new innovation this year is that there is a single category called Innovation in Publishing, which is a much broader way of doing it. Otherwise, do you submit to one, do you submit to the other? So it's a single award, Innovation in Publishing, and I'll be announcing the Gold, Silver, and Bronze Award winners tomorrow night at the dinner. So this afternoon, we have an opportunity to really showcase the very best of innovation in our industry. And we have 7 finalists who are each going to present for 5 minutes. We ran this session last year, and it was very, very popular. It got great feedback, so we're doing it again this year. So our 7 finalists this year are BioArchive from Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory Press, Edifix from Inera, Frontiers Open Science Platform, IOP eBooks from IOP Science, JournalGuide from Research Square, ReadCube Connect from Labtiva, and Rightslink for Open Access from the Copyright Clearance Centre. So first of all, could we congratulate all of our finalists, please? Okay, so I'm going to ask you each to present in alphabetical order by product to make it fair. You'll have exactly 5 minutes. Please do keep it to 5 minutes because, first of all, we want it to be fair, but secondly, you are the only thing between this audience and the bar. And frankly, some of them look like they could do with a drink. I'm not looking at anyone in particular. Okay, so I'll turn it over to our first presenter, which is from BioArchive from Cold Spring Harbor Press. Over to you.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you for staying behind and resisting the siren call of the bar and indeed of check-in. First, I hope a musical interlude, but no music. I was afraid of this. Okay. Thank you.
Imagine if there was somewhere you could submit a paper, and within 24 hours, anyone could read and cite it. Now imagine it was all free. Free for authors, free for readers. And anyone could join the discussion. BioArchive, the preprint server for biology, from Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory.
BioArchive is 10 months old. It has a growing readership. This month we have exceeded 100,000 page views of the abstracts of these deposited manuscripts and about 50,000 downloads of the PDFs. We have a rising rate of submission. Even in August, there was a large number. We're averaging about 70 to 80 new papers a month. So far, we have 673 papers. 193 of them have been revised at least once. So here, at least, is a small group of scientists who are interested in versions. They come from 44 countries, and they cover the widest range of biology that we could think of. Some disciplines obviously more enthusiastic about this than others, but even relatively conservative sections of the biomedical community are picking up on the enthusiasm for preprints. We offer authors the chance to label their papers. 95% of them regard their findings as new, but the others are either confirmatory or contradictory. So here is a publishing mechanism for those two categories of scientific data that are notoriously difficult to publish. For those of you interested in licensing, these are the numbers. So some are very interested in openness, and some are preserving their rights, at least until the final version of their paper is published in a journal. There is an opportunity for on-site commenting. It's not extensive, but when it happens, it's interesting, and sometimes more than that. There is extensive discussion on Twitter and in blogs, and most particularly, there is a great deal of direct feedback to authors through email. As a consequence, we feel that these papers that eventually are submitted to journals have changed as a result of the interaction with the community that's taken place. And so far, 155 of those 673 papers have been published in journals, 78 of them to be precise. You can't read this, but the largest bars on the left belong to PLOS ONE, Bioinformatics, eLife, PNAS, PLOS Genetics, and a wide range of others, including some of the journals that are hardest in our community to get into. At the end of this month, we will have 3 journals where there is an opportunity to simultaneously submit your paper to the journal and to deposit it on the preprint server. And the next stage will be offering those who have deposited a preprint the opportunity to upload that preprint to journals. And we're talking to publishers about that. So after 10 months, we've seen behavior change, using preprints, reading preprints, discussing preprints. We've seen policy changes amongst journals who have either changed their policies about accepting preprints for editorial review or clarifying their policies. We've seen at least one rule change where NIH now allows people filling in their bio sketch to point to a preprint as evidence of their work. The benefits, of course, are the speed of transmission of data and conclusions, the feedback that results from that, the opportunity for discovery. These preprints are indexed thoroughly by Google Scholar, but also you can search on the site. The benefit there being that if you're a young scientist who hasn't yet got a paper that's made its way out of the review process, you have something to show to a hiring committee or a grant awarding committee. The lab has a long tradition of helping, and which goes back to the 30s. And BioArchive is that last step in that tradition. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Okay, so next up then is Edifix from Inera.
Good afternoon. This is actually the first conference I've ever been at with double-sided tags, so I think ALPSP should get an innovation award for this. Edifix is a suite of tools that provide services for cleanup, linking, and correcting bibliographic references automatically. The problem that publishers have faced with bibliographic references for quite a long time is one of accuracy. There have been numerous studies done showing that up to 35% of references in papers have errors in them. So what do publishers do to solve this problem? They pay copy editors millions of dollars a year to copy edit the references to an editorial style, but not to check the content for accuracy. So what happens when those references get online is the inaccuracies in them can cause the references to fail to link, or in some cases to even link to the wrong paper. So the solution to this is a suite of tools that we call Edifix, where you can paste a set of references into an online form as plain text. Edifix then takes those references apart into their component pieces, links the references to PubMed and Crossref, corrects the references with the data from those online services, which is typically more accurate than what the authors provided you in the first place. You can then take the results, paste them into Word, or export to other formats such as XML. So the way it works is you have a form online, and you can paste your references in. It's probably a little bit hard to see here, but all 4 of those references are radically different styles, because Edifix doesn't need to have foreknowledge of any given style. It doesn't require it. In fact, the last reference doesn't even have an article title. Then you can select the Edifix options, including the editorial style that you want to use. I've selected AMA style here, and the linking services that you want to use. And you click the green button, and after waiting for a few moments, you get back your references, in this case, all now in AMA style. And thanks to the correction capabilities, we've done things such as fill in the missing article title in the 4th reference, or a missing author in the 1st reference. In addition, we have automatically added DOIs and PubMed IDs that are fully clickable so that people can follow through to the actual content itself. We've added a differencing view so that you can see exactly what's changed. So, for example, in the 1st reference, you can see that a Greek letter was corrected and that a missing word that the author had just dropped out was added into the reference. And finally, we provide warnings about significant problems. Again, it's a little hard to read, but that's a warning that the 3rd reference in this list is actually reported as retracted on PubMed. Think about how nice it would be to be able to pick off retractions and corrections in references at an early stage of the workflow. So in terms of using the results, this is the view with all of the extra information knocked out. You can copy and paste it over to Microsoft Word, or you can export to XML, RIS, and several other formats for use in other parts of your workflow. So what are the use cases for Edifix? There are a bunch of them. First of all, in terms of online submission, because of the PubMed and Crossref linking, you can provide links to editors and reviewers at an early stage of the process. So they can just point and click if they want to see any of the cited literature. In addition, you can get warnings early on. Just, again, think about how great it would be to pick off the fact that a reference was retracted at the stage of submission. Freelance copy editors can use it to deliver much higher quality reference lists for much less work. Publishers can obviously use Edifix in their workflow as part of their copy editing tools. Whoops, went forward a little too fast there. Service providers can use it to create XML. And finally, we're seeing innovative new services pop up because this service exists. So the Sheridan Press has a new online proofing system called Proof Express, and rather than have the author of the paper, when adding a new reference at proof stage, go through a long form to fill in a whole bunch of fields for the reference, they just paste in the reference, it runs through Edifix, and guess what? They get the final reference in the right editorial style, fully linked to PubMed and Crossref. So that's taking advantage of this for a completely new kind of service. What are the innovations that Edifix brings in? Well, first of all, it works on plain text references from any discipline and in any original format style. So it doesn't require a lot of setup to use it. It doesn't require any setup to use it. That's because it's based on heuristic processing, not pattern-based processing. It's designed to really peel apart not just references following standard styles, but even references that are damaged. It does more than copy editing. It corrects the references. It really does what copy editors would love to do, which is to make sure the content is right, but the reality is most people can't afford to pay them for that. It's very expensive. I heard one publisher say that was doing it, it was costing them $1.25 per reference to have a copy editor manually do what Edifix does for a fraction of that. We have unique PubMed fuzzy matching. We can match references to PubMed that will just completely fail on other matching systems. We also scrub the data coming back from PubMed and Crossref. It's not just a simple data substitution. There's a lot you have to do in order to make it work well. And ultimately, what we have are flexible models, both for licensing and for integration. So the value of Edifix is that it can reduce cost and time and bring higher quality to the publication of your manuscripts. On behalf of the Edifix team, I'd like to thank the committee for selecting us as one of the finalists, and thank you very much for your time.
Okay, so the IOP ebook program, it's a brand new book program that we launched in October last year at the Frankfurt Book Fair. Some of you may know that we had a book program historically. It was sold to TNF in 2005. So this wasn't about digitizing an existing print program, it was about starting from scratch as a digital program. And I think we retained a lot of interest in publishing books from our previous program, but it was really the rise of the ebook over the last 5 years that really kind of stimulated our interest. And so when we looked at the kind of ebook space within STM publishing, we were left kind of disappointed. I mean, I think I'd highlight three particular things. Firstly, I think in general, the reader experience is quite poor. You know, what we tended to see predominantly was chapter-level PDFs that were disjointed, rather than kind of cohesive books that made use of digital publishing capabilities to create an enjoyable reading experience. Secondly, from the librarian's perspective, certainly, there's still a huge amount of DRM on restrictions on use, which, you know, really was born out of the transition from print to electronic. And in my mind, anyway, as an institutional model, DRM really has no place in an ebook world. And finally, from the author's perspective, the feedback that we got was that there was not really any opportunity to go beyond the constraints of words and pictures and really consider using sound and vision as part of sound and video, as part of the book to engage the reader in a different way. And alongside that, most people felt that the kind of royalty model was really based on the print model anyway. And so our kind of summary was that really we weren't looking at ebooks, what we were really looking at were print books online. And we thought there was a real opportunity to make things better and progress things. So we launched our program in October last year. We expect to publish 35 books by the end of this year and 60 by the end of 2015. Now, normally when you say you do 0 to 60 in 24 months, that's not much to brag about, but I think in the book world it's not too bad, and from our perspective it was a clear indication that authors were perhaps looking for something slightly different. But I think the question is, why do we believe that our program is innovative? And just to say what my understanding of innovation is anyway, and that innovation is not really about making new things, it's about finding new ways of making things better. And, you know, alongside that, I always believe that for something to be a good case of innovation, it needs to be sustainable. You know, if you have a good idea, in 4 or 5 months it's dead. It's not that there was anything wrong with it, but you can't really say it was good innovation. And so how have we made things better? So first and foremost, I think the reader experience that we offer is the best in STM publishing. We publish all of our content in HTML, EPUB 3, and PDF as whole books and individual chapters. And so the users can read the book the way they want to on the device they want to. And beyond that, you know, we try to make use of as much digital capabilities as we can. So to give an example, all of our equations are coded in MathML, which in the physics space is obviously quite critical. From the librarian's perspective, obviously we operate in a no DRM model, so they feel comfortable that their users can access the content freely. And from the author's perspective, we give them the option to incorporate sound and video, and we've also scrapped the print royalty model. That was just frightened the life out of us, so we avoided it on purpose, I think. So I think you can't argue that any of those three things are innovative in their own right, and I'm sure many people in the room would say, well, we already do that. What I think is innovative is the way that we brought all of those things together to create a sustainable book program that is built around the way that people read content now and in the future, rather than how they perhaps read it in the past. And so what I'd say about this is, you know, when we think about innovation, people tend to only really think about tech innovation, and I think this is much more a kind of publishing business innovation rather than technical as such. Why is it important? I mean, I think in the first instance for us, it gives us a new way to engage with the scientific community. It also offers a new income stream for us. But, you know, in the wider context, I think it demonstrates that you can launch new book programs and, you know, even for small, medium-sized publishers, and it would be really interesting to see if more come up in the next few years, and it certainly would add a new dimension to ebook publishing. Just as a final note, I mean, this is an award for innovation in publishing, you know, and this project is, you know, really at the core of publishing. What could be more central than the book? And so I kind of feel we're a strong contender for this, but will we be the winner? I don't know. I guess we'll find out tomorrow night, but that's it.
Great, thank you very much.
There you go. So, in a nutshell, Frontiers is a community-driven open access publisher and also a research network. We started Frontiers, that is 2 neuroscientists, about 7 years ago at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology at the EPFL in Lausanne. And today we are already the 4th largest open access publisher. Frontiers is really community rooted. That's the basis of it. That means that scientists take all publishing and editorial decisions. And at the same time, we're also strongly rooted in technology. Everything that we do has really an IT aspect to it. And those two principles really guide everything that we do. So we've built, for example, a collaborative peer review platform that makes the peer review fast and efficient, but at the same time as well constructive and fair to the authors. We've separated the peer review as well from the evaluation process, and we're actually the first publisher in 2008 to implement article level metrics, giving views and downloads on articles. On top of our publishing platform, we've also implemented the research network that with the goal to increase the impact of science in articles. And we also are developing continuously new products to bridge the gap between science and the public, launching, for example, journals for children. So currently we have 48 journals across more than 350, up to probably right now 400 specialty sections across all of science, medicine, and technology. We're as well rapidly expanding into humanities and social sciences. As I said, all of these journals and sections are actually run by active scientists, lots of them. We currently have 48,000 researchers on our editorial boards. We only invite and work with leading scientists from all the top universities. They're all represented in Frontiers on the editorial boards. And with this mixture between rooting and strong principles, technology, and working with leading scientists, we've already published 25,000 open access articles, going strongly for the 30,000th article by the end of this year. So it's growing very rapidly. And many of the journals that are quite young still, 4 or 5 years, are already the largest within their respective fields. For example, Frontiers in Psychology is today the world's largest psychology journal. Frontiers in Plant Science, the largest open access journals, and many others are coming in strongly as well. Not only in terms of volume, but as well in terms of citations and impact factors. All of our journals have above average impact factors when you compare them to the other journals indexed in Thomson Reuters. Which is actually quite an achievement if you consider that we're publishing high volume. Our core software is what we call the collaborative peer review, which really takes place online. It is designed to be efficient, but as well to make the entire peer review process more constructive and really turn it into a collaborative task between authors and reviewers. They interact. It's also designed to maintain the quality and even raise the quality of articles. So for example, when we publish the article, we also publish who edited and reviewed the articles. That ensures constructiveness, but it also ensures that the reviews are rigorous because in particular leading researchers, as we have them on the editorial boards, don't want to be associated with bad papers, quite to the contrary, with quality papers. We have, as I said, impact metrics on the articles since 2008. Impact metrics are on social buzz more lately, but as well views, downloads, citations. But because we also have the research networking platform on top of the publishing system, we can give more detailed feedback on what kind of people are reading the articles. But importantly, we actually use these impact metrics to as well highlight important and significant research. So we invite the authors of most read articles to publish a focused review around the original discovery, really putting it into a broader context for the wider community so that they pay attention to this significant study. We like to call this the crowdsourced prestige system, and it's really very popular because it is a very objective and democratic way of how to highlight significant studies. And Frontiers is also really about maximizing the impact for authors. So this starts really in showing who are authors. So everybody who is in Frontiers, we have more than 160,000 users overall, has a profile in Frontiers. And these profiles showcase their CVs, but as well their publications, not just Frontiers publications, but any type of publication. We crawl whatever is out there, and we insert it into these profiles automatically, but as well co-authors, blogs, news, whatever makes up a researcher. Then, of course, as Amy said today, one of the big pain points nowadays is there's so much content out there. 7 million researchers publishing 2.5 million articles every single year. How do we make sense out of it? In Frontiers, we sort all of this content based on your interests, your activity, your connections, and we integrate it into what we call the activity stream, which really summarizes what you need to read based on what you're interested in and what your interests are. And finally, and this is my last slide, we are on a mission to make science as well understandable to the public and even children. So last year we've launched a new journal, Frontiers for Young Minds. Here we invite the authors of scientific studies published in any type of journal, and we are now establishing quite a lot of collaborations. And the authors write on their article that was published today, anywhere, a kids version. And it is then children who review these articles and give feedback to the authors on these articles. So this is actually very rewarding. It's fun for everybody involved, but it's also quite successful. So as I said, we're establishing a lot of collaborations with journals, but there is also teacher associations, schools, parents, children, everybody that comes and wants to be part of this. So we launched it in neuroscience and are currently expanding as well to other fields such as space sciences, ecology, and so forth. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Okay, next up is JournalGuide from Research Square.
Afternoon. It's good to be here. My first ALPS. I'm thrilled to talk about JournalGuide and the background of it. I wish there was a really exciting story about how we came up with this concept, but the truth is we just listen to our customers, honestly. And we are in a bit of a privileged position because with AJE and Rubric, we have touch points with thousands of authors every month that have a paper in hand and are looking to get published. And what they told us, and really what they asked us more than ever, is what journal do you recommend? Do you have a sense of where this might be a good fit? And so out of that question is really JournalGuide. And I'll start by saying JournalGuide is much more than just a simple search tool that kind of returns journals based on a title and abstract. I don't think we would have been shortlisted if that was all we were bringing to the table here. So I'm going to try to touch on some of the more innovative components of JournalGuide in my short time. But just a bit more on the problem we're trying to solve here. Authors primarily are trying to get published in the best journal possible as quickly as possible. This is a theme that we keep hearing over and over again from pretty much any author right now. But this question is more complex, more complicated than I think than ever with mandates, some of the themes we've already talked about this afternoon. It is complicated. And not only is it complicated, but they're being bombarded with information, requests from all over the place. And it's getting really difficult to kind of separate out legitimate options and what are the best options, because time is certainly an element in that statement up there. So I think what we're trying to do is bring together a lot of information. I'd say this is one of the key innovations we're doing, is taking multiple data streams about journals from multiple places together in one place and providing this in an author-centric way. So the information that authors truly need to look at and evaluate where a good publishing option would be for them, from publishers, from other authors, from journal editors, from third-party providers, from aggregators, all in one place called JournalGuide. And so what we're really building is what I call a two-sided platform, because it's not just a tool for authors. We're actually inviting editors into the ecosystem here. But JournalGuide is independent. We are not a publisher. We are actually an independent organization, Research Square. We're trying to be inclusive and comprehensive as possible to provide the full picture of all the options for a researcher. So I'll quickly just explain how this works on both sides here. For a researcher, it really is about discovery. It's about finding the right journal. But once you do a search, you can actually drill down and actually see a journal page that we've created, a standard view of the major components of what a journal story is. And then you can compare journals, because we've standardized the information. You can actually compare one journal to the next, which is the screenshot there. But even going further down the engagement list here, there are ways to start to connect authors to a community of a journal. So a lot of times, we talk with a lot of publishers, we work with publishers. The idea of a journal as a community, I think, resonates with a lot of people. And the tools that we're trying to provide here work both ways to try to build a community if you're an editor, or join a community if you're an author. So yes, we want to provide links right to the publisher, links right into the submission process. But we also want you to be able to follow journals and see if there are updates from journals, as well as go all the way into article discovery. On the journal side, editors can come in and they can say, well, this is my journal. I can claim that page. I can update it and provide pretty much most of the information on that page is managed by the journal that comes in and claims it. And we validate they're the right people and so forth. But that's just the beginning also. These engagement tools we hope will be really a new source for engaging new authors and readers for your journal, as well as providing journal intelligence, competitive intelligence, if you want it to be that way, but reports and analytics about what journals your journal is being compared to, who's coming to look at your page, who's following your page. So this is really a tool for both sides. In my short time, I'll just make a quick plug. We announced our whitelist approach. So this is an example of an additional layer of value that we want to provide as Research Square into the platform itself. So we know that there's a lot of questions about the reputation of different publishers. Because we're trying to be comprehensive and inclusive, we need to be careful. And one of the things we're trying to do is say, well, here's one approach, kind of a version one of a whitelist of what we would say is safe publishers, safe journals. So I can't go through the whole methodology, but the white paper is out there. The announcement's been released a few days ago. I encourage you guys all to look and provide us feedback, because we're going to continue to iterate on this approach. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next is ReadCube Connect from Labtiva.
Thank you all very much. It's a pleasure to be, and honor to be nominated, and we're really excited. This is our first time at ALPS as well, and we're excited to talk about a fairly new product for us that we've been working on for a number of years. So you may know some of us from ReadCube Desktop. So we launched a desktop app early on, which was a focus on helping researchers organize their literature and search and discover within an app, and it was more focused on how researchers organize and deal with the daily flow of research than it was on how they cite papers. So we kind of focused more on this kind of bulk of time that we thought researchers spent. And we really analyzed the early versions of the app on how people were consuming the literature. And what we found is that people spend an extraordinary amount of time reading papers. That they would actually go through and go back and forth. They would copy and paste. It would become a starting point for search. And there was a whole series of elements that occurred during the whole process of doing research that we started to analyze. And we came to the PDF. I'm sorry, it keeps iterating. Is it possible to stop? Okay. My apologies, it's jumping ahead of me. The PDF we came to sort of focus on a little bit because it was really the place where people spent such an incredible amount of time. And it was a launching pad for so many different things as the primary currency of scholarly dissemination right now. Obviously, it's great in some ways. It's got a lot of disadvantages in that it's completely disconnected. We talked about versioning earlier today. It's completely disconnected for most researchers that kind of squirrel it off into their offline world. And we started working with publishers about this problem, about how we could kind of bring together some of the best parts of the online web experience, the XML workflows, and all the HTML capabilities into the place where people actually consume research in desktop apps, mobile apps, et cetera. And we learned the other side of the equation. It's not trackable. It's effectively a bounce when researchers go off of your website onto a PDF. And it really does undermine a lot of investments in this space. There are two big observations. One was that, also talking with publishers, a huge number of researchers consume the PDF. And around the last couple of years, browsers began consuming rendering the PDF automatically. And so a sample workflow would be a user starting a search result, proceeding to a publisher's website, where very often they're almost hard-coded to go right for the PDF link, and then you'll view a PDF in the browser. And an initial question was, what happens when the PDF is actually open in the browser? Do they save it? Do they print it? It's kind of a void because you can't actually get web analytics as to what's happening in the experience. And so we started thinking, what if we could do something different? What if we could actually render the PDF as HTML? What if we could actually make it interactive, make the inline references, the authors, the supporting materials, visualize the supplements, incorporate related articles, all of the rich innovations that have occurred on a lot of the HTML article pages on publisher sites, but bring it into the experience where people are actually consuming it, which is largely the PDF. And we started thinking about it from publishers. This can prevent the bounce. It can allow you to analyze the traffic. That can lead to better decisions about how many pages are people actually reading. If you're thinking about monographs and other form factors, do people actually read beyond the 10th page? A lot of that stuff is very difficult to answer when all that information is on the PDF. So we envisioned and built ReadCube Connect. And much like the typical workflow, the idea is that this is a PDF replacement. So on a website, for instance, an article page such as this one, if a user were to click the PDF, they would actually get this, which looks very much like a PDF, and in fact, it's a transcoded PDF, but it has a whole series of capabilities that a PDF normally wouldn't have in the browser. You have the ability to annotate, which was an early feature from our desktop app, but you have the ability to click on inline references, to click on authors, to view the figures while you're reading it without having to scroll back and forth, to be able to see supplemental files that are associated with it, even view and visualize videos, as well as get recommendations for related articles within the article reading experience. So this was a major kind of experience that we wanted to put into the browser at the point of access without having to install any software, and then see where it goes from there. ReadCube Connect is something that's available today. It's really easy to embed on the site. We're doing free pilots, and we're collecting data. We're really trying to learn whether this works well for researchers. Happy to talk with all of you, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, and then finally we have Rightslink for open access from the Copyright Clearance Center. Making a big entrance from the back of the room for maximum effect.
Well, thank you very much. It is an honor and a privilege to be nominated. I'm Bill O'Brien. I'm Director of Business Development at Copyright Clearance Center. I'd like to tell you a little bit about our new platform just launched in June of this year. So please don't think about Rightslink for Open Access platform as just an e-commerce solution for the collection of author-based fees. Please do think of Rightslink for Open Access platform as a key component of your ongoing open access strategy, an innovative component. And yes, Kaveh, one that is an efficiency component for managing your business. So solutions for an evolving publishing marketplace, because the marketplace hasn't completely shaken out and different forces have applied pressures to your business models, your systems, your different components that make up your publishing system. Those pressures result from many of the new stakeholders, and they've added friction to the process and to those systems that you have in place. The great thing about Rightslink for Open Access platform is that it plugs right in and addresses some of the needs and issues created by funders. The new stakeholders are authors, universities defining OA policies, and publishers having to adapt to business models and create new transparency and, again, drive friction out of these processes. So, open access isn't new to any of you in the room. It's not new to CCC or for the use of Rightslink for collecting open access fees. We've been doing it for 10 years, and again, based on requests by publishers to create a solution 10 years ago. What is required are the changes that we've all gone through in the last 2 years. The world has really changed in open access, and like a previous speaker was saying, we've really embarked on an active listening tour. We've got the luxury of addressing our publishing clients on a regular basis through Rightslink roundtables, forums, user groups, cocktail receptions at various events. And in addition to that, over the last 2 years, we've created a number of online forums and other webinars that bring together these stakeholders and give a chance for you to all participate. Free webinars, bringing in speakers from organizations like Hefke, Wellcome Trust, from the vendor community like Aries, from organizations like ALPSP. Over 2,000 people have attended our free webinars in order to learn more, to understand this complex and ever-changing landscape, and to ask questions and to engage us about how to best provide solutions to the marketplace. In addition to that, in January of this year, we launched an OA portal in conjunction with ALPSP because there's a need to manage and filter all the information that's bombarding us constantly, from press releases to policy changes to international information about the open access market that's important for you and how you learn about and manage your business, not just for today, but for going forward. So again, a free service where we bring folks together to learn more about our industry. I bet by the end of this year, we'll have over 50,000 visitors to the site taking advantage of this collection of information. So please visit. We'll hopefully hit more than 100,000. So what did we do? In June of this year, we launched a new platform, Rightslink for Open Access Platform. It's a standard and configurable offering so that it's easy for you to plug in. We're looking for the opportunity to engage directly in your workflow, to plug into all those components, be it manuscript systems, production systems, your marketing and subscription systems, so we can gather all that information about your authors, about your manuscript, about your pricing and business rules. So we do that through standard APIs. That's really the secret sauce behind the platform. It allows us to plug into all those component parts and to glean all that important metadata that you collect along the way and tailor this solution to the individual author. And that allows us, through Rightslink, to drive a very sophisticated rules and pricing engine because we've captured all that information about the manuscript, the author, and all the things that impact your pricing and your rules. And we've provided a simple, yes, the e-commerce piece, a simple way for that author or institution to make payments, either via credit card in multiple currencies, or let CCC handle the messy back office function of billing, collections, applying taxes, and all those things that are expensive, difficult, and tough to scale if you're just kicking off your business. So when you come to the table and engage us in an implementation, we talked a little bit about the external stakeholders affecting the marketplace. These are the internal stakeholders that we want to talk to in your organization when they come to the table. Bring those folks to us that really deeply understand your pricing schemes, marketing schemes, and make them part of the conversation. Bring the folks that work with those systems, production or manuscript systems, to the table so we can understand exactly what metadata we can extract. Tell us about the author experience. Tell us all about your billing collections so that we can understand that and bake that into the system. It's an unbending pricing. We have to be flexible. I'm running out of time. We have to be able to apply open access charges, page charges, color charges, and then all those things that affect that price that the author sees. And we do that again through applying the APIs. Here's what the author sees: very serene, simple user interface, cleverly masking a very sophisticated rules and pricing engine. So we want to make it as easy on the author as possible. Look at that metadata captured at the top, give you an idea for all the stuff that we collect that ultimately makes its way into the invoicing, the billing, the tax, the collections, and ultimately, as a way to better manage your business, a very comprehensive, detailed online reporting tool available to you and all your internal stakeholders in real time. And also we add another layer of customer service, knowing that we've got to support you, the publisher, as well as your author community around the globe. So we've got real live customer service help, chat, email, all the things that you need to run your business efficiently. We know the open access story isn't over yet or completed, and your businesses are not etched in stone, so we continue to evolve and innovate based on marketplace needs. We've got a robust product roadmap that takes us out 12 to 18 months, and we continue to listen for those signals of change and build in those features and functions that you most need going forward. So we're here to support your ongoing open access success. 300 plus employees of Copyright Clearance Center are here to guarantee that success. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you. Great. So thank you very much to all of our presenters. Within those 7, we have a gold, a silver, and a bronze award winner. And I'm sure you'd like to know who's won. Well, I can exclusively reveal that the winners are going to be announced tomorrow night at the dinner. I'm such a tease. So thank you very much. Can we congratulate all of our finalists, and we'll see you tomorrow night for the results. Thank you.